Welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who has 99 minutes until his Liam Neeson mask starts melting. It's David Cross.
Don't call me a freak.
That's a
What's up?
Beautiful mask that you're wearing right now, David.
Thank you. I went vintage, Liam as well. So, Darkman era, a little after.
1990 Liam Neeson was just so kind of naive looking and full of hope. And now he's just taken Liam Neeson. He's just kind of tough guy Neeson. But back then he was like this really nice, earnest guy.
And really gangly.
Yeah. And
I was looking at him, I was like, he's tall.
It's wild that a couple years after this, Frances McDormand, 4 years, Frances McDormand is in Fargo. And a few years after this, he's in Schindler's List. So the cast of Darkman, they went on to some bigger and better things, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I was like, everyone in this is pretty talented and really blew up. It's definitely a time capsule from 1990.
It looks beautiful, though. So I was listening to the commentary with Bill Pope. I mean, I just love hearing about how because this is a guy, Bill Pope, who's done some of the biggest movies you can think of. I mean, he's done like all the Spider-Man movies. The guy's just blown up as a cinematographer. He did Army of Darkness as well, which is pretty much all you need. But he was talking about working with Sam Raimi, like just the amount of work that went into making this movie. Just like, they shot for 65 days and then they ended up going to 100 days. They would do 100, they did 19 setups a day.
Wow.
I mean, they just move. And his interview with Sam Raimi, Sam just goes, hey, so, I'm going to tell you what to do and you're going to do it. Cool? And Bill Pope goes, yeah, absolutely. It was his first movie. And that was their interview. That was it. Like, I'm going to tell you what to do and you're going to do it. And Bill Pope was still doing music videos. He had done some big videos, but yeah, he took the job because Barry Sonnenfeld recommended him for it.
But wasn't this like Sam Raimi's like first or second studio movie?
Yeah, so he had done Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2.
And wait, Crime Wave? He did Crime Wave?
Oh yeah, that was like early independent, was it not?
I think it was independent.
Yeah.
What I was trying to get at is like this is still pretty early in his career.
Oh, this is super early. And I mean, I guess, they had been directing for a long time. He has movies all the way back to 72. Ooh. But it was like little 8mm shorts. But then he did Evil Dead, then he did Crime Wave, and then he did The Sappy Sap. Then he did Evil Dead 2. He did Iggy Pop music video. He did another short, and then he jumped to Darkman. And then that led to Army of Darkness, Quick and the Dead, Simple Plan, For Love of the Game, The Gift, Spider-Man 1 through 3, Drag Me to Hell, Oz the Great and the Powerful. And now he's doing Doctor Strange, yes. But but for such a young director making his studio movie in LA, so Frances McDormand on this wonderful oral history of the film, she called this an art movie. And I would agree.
I would agree too. In the sense that it's a movie trying to mimic what it feels like to read a comic book. And it succeeds. It very well succeeds. I in the review that I posted yesterday for this, I talked about how it's difficult to get a good splash page or something that looks like a splash page in cinema, and this movie nails it with all the various like CGI and focusing on Peyton's face.
It just and also there's this beautiful when he goes back into his lab after it's been burnt down, there's a crane shot that establishes the entire burnt down lab. That's beautiful. It's like just this movie when you could look at it, you know what? All right, this is a movie that you have to look. This is stupid. This is very stupid. But some movies you don't really have to, you can background watch them. But when you really should, you owe it to yourself to sit down and just absorb this movie. Because, there's a lot of Evil Dead DNA in here as well. And also there's a lot of Spider-Man with the rainy alleyways. Mm-hmm. And like Bill Pope was talking to Sam Raimi and Sam's like, yeah, I just borrowed shots directly from Darkman and put them in Spider-Man. So it's this interesting combo where he's still young and he's still taking all these chances. And then you see the influence later. But there's just some really beautiful shots where he's in the alley and all the water's flooding down and it starts going down the drain and he's watching it. And just the gonzo shots of he's stealing people's faces. He's face-offing people. But I guess Mission Impossible was before then. But yeah, so I mean, it's just a neat gonzo successful. I mean, $16 million and it went on the gross 49. Oh, yeah. Bonkers. Pretty like tough, violent. I mean, once he starts murdering people, he just starts murdering folks. Like it's not like he's trying to be like Batman. He wants to kill people in this movie, and it earns its R rating. And I love that turn to it. I don't know if you dug that too.
Yeah, I did. I dig R-rated superhero movies, and we hear a lot of complaining out there, like, why can't we get an R-rated one? Why can't we get a more serious superhero movie? This is it, dudes. It's like this and Logan. This is it. Like, it's not my fault that you don't know that this exists. Pay attention.
And it's like people with Black Panther too. They're like, yeah, like Black Panther's so great, and then people are like, guys, there's Blade, like an R-rated, awesome movie. Like there are R-rated superhero. I mean, Punisher Warzone. Just watch that one. Holy mackerel. So yeah, but this is this weird. I love just the different setups, and what's kind of crazy is there's just so many shots in this movie. You know, they deleted a 10-minute dream sequences in this. This is kind of actually a punk rock movie, and I know you've probably done tons of research and listened to the commentaries, but Raimi wanted to direct a Shadow movie, The Shadow. They said no, so he just went and took his favorite aspects of movies, like A Man of a Thousand Faces, Frankenstein, just the Shadow. He went and just created his own superhero movie.
Yeah, Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Phantom of the Opera.
Phantom of the Opera. Yeah, this is very Phantom of the Opera, like to the point of which I was like, when I read that oral history after I watched the movie, and I was like, and I had made that connection before I read the oral history, and I was like, oh yeah, this makes sense.
It's so odd. It's kind of punk rock though. He's okay. You're not going to do it, so I'm going to go write my own movie. And then I love how right when Picture Lock was happening, they went back and edited it, and they turned in the Sam Raimi edit, and then they locked it, and then the studio was furious at them for re-editing the movie. Why don't we
explain what all that means? Because I didn't understand any of that terminology until I read that oral history.
But
you would know better than me.
Yeah, I'll read what Rod Tappert, the producer, Sam Raimi's longtime producer, had to say. So he wrote, "I don't mind saying this now, and Sam will probably be unhappy. But the studio said there's nothing we can do to save this picture. Let's lock it. Smith cut approved." So they had a producer cut approved. So the producer came in, a new editor came in and locked it. So what happens is an editor came in to work on Sam's movie, and the editor edited it. When you say cut, that's the same thing as edit. Edited. I'm going to say cut. It's easier to say. Cut it into something that he thought mass consumption would like, a studio would like, something more accessible to the mainstream. So we locked the picture on Friday night at 5 p.m. We were incredibly disheartened and dispirited. And Sam's present editor, a guy by the name of Bob Murawski, said, "There's a much better movie than what we are locking right now." So the decision was made that we would re-edit the movie. So the studio approved the Smith cut, right? But then they said, we can make this better. So we spent 48 hours basically recutting the entire movie, restoring things we thought were important. We added 9 minutes back in on an already short movie. This movie's beautifully short, by the way, 96 minutes. And we added 9 minutes back in, things we really liked that the preview audiences would recoil from. But that's what it was meant to do. We locked it and didn't tell anybody. And so people were absolutely furious. Like, there's a huge outcry. Then they changed it up. They already sent it out to the critics. Then Sam and Rob, the producers and the editors fought for the cut. And the studio, the heads of the studio were furious at them because they added those 9 minutes back in. And so they basically, the studio locked an edit. They went back in for 48 hours and changed that edit and added stuff back in. Then they locked that and didn't tell the studio. Then they sent it out to critics.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I think it does make sense. And it's a wild move. Because if this movie had not gotten positive reviews, everyone would have been canned, basically. They wouldn't have worked in Hollywood again.
Mm-hmm. It was punk rock, man. It was pretty cool that they went and did this. But they had this vision. I mean, that's the thing about Sam Raimi is when you allow him his full vision, I think that's when he flourishes. But when he's restricted, maybe on Spider-Man 3 and movies like that, that's when they really suffer. I think you just got to give him the reins and let him tell his story. But yeah, they didn't like his cut. They had all these weird dream sequences that they cut, which I would love to see. And but you never hear this story. And so he made his own superhero movie. Then they went behind the studio's back and recut it. And then this movie was a success. I mean, it's 85% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. And then it spawned 2 direct to DVD VHS sequels. So, I don't know, I'm just the Dutch angles, the zoom ins, the pans, like they were never, the camera never was stationary. And the one time it was stationary on a tripod, some sticks, they did a 360 shot on it. So it's such a technically innovative shot with a lot of mush in the, have you heard that term?
No, I haven't.
So I'm a big Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi fan. I listen to all their commentaries. And what they call the stuff in the foreground and the background, props-wise, yeah, we need more mush. So if you're looking at a shot and there's not enough in there, yeah, we need more mush. So then they go throw, park a car in front of it or throw a bunch of trash on the ground to have more mush in the shot. So that's what you call it. And,
yeah.
And this is another thing, I'm talking a lot, but during the production, Sam Raimi had so many different shots that Bill Pope, the cinematographer, he started doing an A through Z list of all of his shots. So when Sam Raimi would ask for something, Bill Pope would tell his crew, hey, we need an L, we need a Z. So he had an A through Z list of Sam Raimi's shots. That's how many there were. And so he just knew it. And I gotta tell you, Bill Pope went on to do Alita Battle Angel, Baby Driver, Jungle Book, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, World's End, Matrix, all the Matrix movies. He did Bedazzled, which is kind of amazing. Zero Effect, Bound, Clueless. He did Blank Check, Fire in the Sky. Oh, that's probably why that movie hurts my soul. And before that, he did Metallica videos and Sting. But yeah, so he moved on to bigger and better things. I guess I'm being a nerd and geeking out about the technical issues of this film, really not talking about the character himself, but I just love how Sam Raimi worked back in the day.
And some other things I guess we should throw in there where we're talking about just the history of this film is it went through 12 drafts. Yeah. And as a writer, I'm working through probably the 5th draft of my novel. I'm about to pull my hair out. I'm turning my hair gray. I can't imagine doing 12 drafts of anything, literally anything. Mm-hmm. And I'm mentioning this because it seemed to me that there was a lot of studio interference from the beginning of this project. And what the studio was trying to do was capitalize off of the success of Batman from the year before. So they wanted more of a Batman picture. And then he turned in this wild, R-rated, wacky adventure. And I say wacky there's a couple of moments in this movie that are very weird, but I love them.
Oh, wacky's the perfect term, I would say. Yeah, I mean, I bet you it got greenlit because of Batman's popularity. It was Sam Raimi's baby, and then they probably wanted to change it around a lot. But it seems like, so this movie shot for 100 days, David. That's insane.
I mean, put that into context for me, because you got so much better understanding for me. Like I thought most movies shot for 100 days.
No, I mean, so Captain America: Civil War, right? That shot for 100 days, but that's 2 hours and 45 minutes. I bet you they shot 3.5 hours because of all the stunts, the gags, the second unit, that kind of stuff. I've also worked on movies that shot in 12 days. I've worked on movies that shot in 37 days. A couple of the blockbusters I worked on, they were like 65 days. So I guess what shocks me is a blockbuster, those typically go more days. Except a Spielberg movie, those fly. Or a Ridley Scott movie, those fly. But you have a mid-range movie like this with not the biggest budget shooting in LA going 100 days. That's big. That's a long shoot. And I think a lot of it is because you just have so many different shots when you're doing 19 different setups. The different, when we first meet Peyton and he's recreating the nose, it's not one shot, but it takes you through the whole process. Sam wanted all of that. And the helicopter